Hey girl, my name is Starla Shay and welcome to Girl Start Over. Girl, in this video today, we are going to be having a real girl talk conversation and we're going to be talking about why you continue having sex with men who you are not married to, who will not commit to you, or why you keep finding yourself struggling with having sex with men who you know don't value you. You know that this is not the best that you deserve and you keep settling for it. So we're going to talk about why you're settling for it, and then we're going to talk about how to actually stop settling for it. So girl, this is a real talk conversation, okay? Period. So get you something to drink, get you some chips, and we're going to talk about it. So if you hear some noise in the back, it's the kids. But the first thing we're going to talk about is understanding how trauma affects you. So if you want to understand why you feel like you can't leave this man alone, right? I'm so graced by God, like, that I've been able to help women and women reach out to me for advice on things. But we wonder why we can't leave. What's the advice on how to leave this man who is doing X, Y, and Z, mentally abusive, physically abusive, verbally abusive, manipulation, right? We are trying to figure out how do we get out of these situations. But the question is, what is keeping me in them? And a lot of times you feel stuck, not because the relationship between you and that person is so great, but it's because of all the pain you've went through in your life. So I'm just going to give you a little picture into this, right? So growing up as a child, however you grew up, you'll try to subconsciously recreate that same pattern from when you were younger as you get older. And so you might have been molested or raped, and you think that being molested or raped was nothing. And you may think it's something that you're just going to skip over. And I was like this, okay, for a really long time, up until I think I turned about 23, 24 years old, when God started to truly like bring these things to light. But what happens is you keep pushing through your life. You've been molested, you've been raped, you've been abused by men, you have been abandoned by your father or your mother. And then you start subconsciously growing up and you try to create the same situation that you grew up in, where there was uncertainty, where there was molestation, where there was rape. And so you use your body to feel like love because that was the only attention you were getting as a child, because your parents may have been so busy working, or you always might have been home alone. Your family members just for some reason try to do that to you, or even experiences where you were, raped. Okay, I don't know if you could say the R word. I think I had already said it. But what happens is when these things happen to you, they shape your brain at a young age. So when you're at 5 or 6 years old, or, you were 4 years old, right? You were 4 years old. You were at this age where you should have been just enjoying your childhood. And instead someone harmed you, or they did something to you. It rewired your brain to, now you know that people are not safe. Now you know that this could potentially happen to you again. And it wires your brain to teach you, even though it is wrong, now it becomes your normal. And so your brain starts registering it in your head. And so what happens is you get into toxic relationships, or you go after men who bring this same type of feeling that you had when you were going through those things as a child. Or even if you didn't have your father, right, for whatever reason, and you go after men who were like your father, though. If you ever had, maybe you didn't know your father, but your mother said, oh, he was this way, and the men you go after are also that way. It is what trauma does to you. So I'm going to read to you this National Library of Medicine. I was on their website studying, and I'm also a schoolgirl, but I wanted to share this with you because this is so important. Listen. So those who have gone through trauma need ways to cope. And what happens when you don't have a way to cope? You start doing things, just acting out in ways that seem normal to you but are not. Trauma affects your beliefs about your future, fear that life will end early or abruptly, anticipation that certain life events won't occur. So what happens when things like that start to happen to you? Your brain says, who's going to love me? I need to find someone to love me. But then you start fearing that no one will love you. So you give your body to everybody who comes in your life because you're like, I need to try to make someone stay. The trauma starts talking to you about your life. And that is how you find yourself in a situation with a man who you know that you need to leave, or multiple men that you know you need to leave, because this is the way that you have grown up. And this is what you have, well, not you, but what trauma has been subconsciously teaching you, is that you're unworthy of love. You don't deserve anything, and nothing good can happen to you. And so you're dealing with all of these lies, and it's what's keeping you stuck. And so many women don't think they believe in a lie. They don't think that, oh, well, I work or I do this, I have some type of money. But you do believe that subconsciously, that you're not worth love. You believe that you're not worthy because your actions prove that. You are following the actions of someone who does not love themselves. And I know it's hard to hear, but you're following those actions. But this is the root reason to why you continue to go in these relationships with men. It is because what has happened to you 9 times out of 10 in your childhood with molestation specifically, and if you've ever been raped, that teaches you and trains you for this, using your body as the only way and means for love. And you find yourself with this man who is addicted to your body. You guys are addicted to each other, and you get so toxic and it feel like you can't leave because you guys are freaking, and it's causing y'all to have a soul tie. But you can't leave because he's good. You can't leave because this is how you've experienced all your childhood. All of your childhood men have left you. The men you trusted in your life left you and abandoned you. So you're naturally gravitating towards the man who's abandoning you and using you, and he's making it known, and you are not doing anything about it, and you feel so powerless. Is because you're confronting the same demon, the same thing that you went through in your childhood. Okay? So how do you actually get out of this, right? And let's just say you didn't have that, right? And maybe you had a great childhood, but you might have gotten a really bad relationship with somebody that really like changed everything for you, even if you grew up pretty decently. I've rarely seen that, but it could have been a relationship that really happened to you that really like changed everything that you thought about relationships. And so it left you lost and it left you feeling broken. Now, another reason that you find yourself in these situations with men who don't value you or respect you is because you're searching for purpose, but you think your only purpose and fulfillment comes from a man because you were not loved properly as a child, or you were not loved properly in a previous relationship. So this ties into the first thing I mentioned about trauma. But when you feel like you don't have a purpose, and you feel like the only purpose for your life is to be used by men, to be abused, or to have a relationship, and you don't feel like you have any meaning outside of a man or a relationship, irregardless to any career goals you're currently working towards, that is going to lead you down this path where you feel like you only have to be with a man and you have to be with someone. And so you're going to cling to whoever the man is, whether he's good or bad. And if you are feeling purposeless and feeling hopeless, what happens is this: you might have an idea, you could be going to work, you could be doing something, but you're not locked into it. And so when you don't have a purpose and you don't understand why you are alive, why you are living, and that God literally made you for a purpose, you start being with any type of man. You start doing anything, right, to ease and alleviate pain, because you think that, okay, this is what I'm here for. I can't do nothing right. Maybe money not flowing the way you want it to. Maybe certain things in your life aren't going the way that they need to. And so you feel like you don't have a purpose. This man is the only thing that seems like it has purpose, because he makes you feel good. He gives you compliments. He takes you on dates. And what girl doesn't love a date, right? So you're willing to put up with anything just to say that you have someone so you don't feel alone. Now, this is not any judgment, because I once have been through those things where I was chasing men and chasing love and chasing relationships because I genuinely was looking to be loved, because that void that molestation caused in me wanted me to have somebody, touch my body, wanted somebody to love me, and wanted somebody to choose me. And so it led me down this very, very horrible path of getting somebody to choose me, because for a while I was wondering, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, why is no one picking me? Like, that's how I felt. And so when the first opportunity or when someone came, I would struggle to let people go, and I would try to hold on to them forever because I wanted to feel like I was chosen. Now, how do you get through these things? Like, if you know that you're dealing with trauma, what does healing actually look like, right? In a very practical sense, because y'all, I went through this, literally God took me out. I was going through this and God took me out of it and brought me out of it all by his glory and grace, where I'm not sleeping with men and stuff no more. I'm not out here broken and crying and heartbroken over the past. So here is something that can actually help you. One, for me personally, my healing came from God, from Jesus Christ, and from therapy. Now, here's what happened though. It took me to actually go to a therapy session. And she asked me, my therapist at the time had asked me, was I ever molested? And I said, yeah, but what does that have to do with that? And she essentially broke down to me what happens when you are molested. And for a long time, I hid that from God. I was too ashamed and embarrassed to mention it to God and to even ask him, to pray and ask him to heal me from it. And I remember writing out how it made me feel. I remember writing out about how it made me feel about myself and what I thought about myself because of it. And that was the first step, like, to my healing journey and really processing those emotions and getting them out of me, but really giving them to Jesus Christ and giving them to God and praying about them, because they were stored up inside of me. Like, I really remember, like, years ago that I would, like, consistently have this shame. Like, I would feel so dirty, so guilty, like nothing was good about me. Felt like it was all my fault. Feeling like if people really knew what happened to me, like, oh, they wouldn't want to talk to me or be with me. Like, I really carried this shame and guilt. And I know, like, with molestation, like, that's what happens. It brings shame. It brings guilt. It brings you feeling like you're not worthy of anything. So the first thing that you can do is bring those things to light with Jesus Christ. And then I also recommend you going to a therapist or a counselor, a Christian-based one. Okay, let me just say. And the lady I went to, it was two women I went through. The first woman I found on my mentor.life through Tony Gaskins. And then the second woman I found was Moda and Mind Christian Counseling Center. And her name was Dr. Tracy. Dr. Tracy got me together. We locked in for a whole year. She got me together. I praise God and thank God for her. But God had to expose those things because I was holding them deep in my heart and my mind, and it was driving these emotions. And what was so crazy, when I would be with these men or like just put myself in certain situations, I would start to feel like a broken little girl. I would start to feel like I just wanted someone to see me and protect me and be there for me. And I know what that feels like. So if you're going through that, you need to deal with those issues, because if you don't, you're going to keep going man after man. Even if it's not molestation, right? Let's just say your dad wasn't there. It's going to keep being man after man after man until you deal with that, because that thing is going to drive your life. I'm telling you what I know because I've been through it. It's going to drive your life. You're going to look up. You don't have purpose. You don't know what your life is going on. Your money funny. You ain't got nowhere to live. Like, it's going to destroy your life the best way that it can, because the men that you're attracting are not good men at all. So that is a big reason why. That may not be the full reason why, but those are two big reasons why you might be going through that. And we're going to talk about how to stop doing that. How do you get to the place where you actually like stop? Like, girl, I want to stop doing it, but I just feel like I can't. We're going to lock in the next one. Okay, so how do you actually stop having sex with men and putting yourself in this position, right? So many women were like, oh, well, you want to leave. But it's like, I thank God. God did something very powerful for me where he forced the situation that I was in. He forced it to end. And so that man chose another woman at that time and separated himself from me. And so you do have to separate yourself. But the first thing really is you have to change how you view life, how you view yourself, how you view God. And so the first thing is you have to learn your purpose. And what I mean is you have to learn why you are actually on the earth and what were you made to do. Sometimes, a lot of the time, you're in the bed with these men who you don't need to be with because you don't know that God made you for a reason. You're called to children. You're called to women, or you might be called to the elderly. You know you want to be a doctor. You know you want to be a nurse. You want to work on health. You want to work on health things, right? Let's just say you want to be in radiology, dentist, whatever. You want to do it. And you know that you want to do it. But you don't have that knowledge. That's why God created you, and it's a purpose bigger than you. The purpose God has for you is going to be to serve others. You might be an author and always wanted to write a book. You might want to always be a fashion designer, right? There is a plan God has for you. And when you search out that purpose and you know why you were created, that is going to give you so much confidence. You're going to feel so good about yourself, because I know what it's like when you are molested and raped and your whole life seems like sex, pornography, and dirt. It just seemed like everything in your life is hidden, covered up, and all this terrible stuff. But when you finally realize that God has a purpose for you, your life, like, it don't immediately change, but it really do give you peace. It really do give you confidence to know like, okay, I'm created for something and now I have something to work towards. And when you have something to work towards, you can give what you're working towards your all the same way that you want to give it to a man. Because it's like your new business, or the reason that God created you for is a baby. Like quite literally, it feels like a baby. But you're going to put all your love and passion into this because it's going to help someone else. And deep down, you already know that you want to help people. You know there's something more. And that's what the more is. That is exactly what the more is. Now, I'm not telling you that, you know, your problems are going to be fixed overnight. I'm not telling you that. But what I am telling you is when you know who you are, you know why you're created and what you're created to do, you're less likely to be with men who don't align with that. And then also, as God reveals your purpose to you, you're going to be in this space where even if you sin, right? Let's just say you fall with a man, you freak him or whatever the case may be. The conviction, the fact that God gave you a purpose and you know who you called to, you know you're called to help women or kids. That purpose that God has for you is going to literally bring you to this place where you're disgusted, where you want to run, where you like, oh my gosh, why would I do this? Because I know I have this ahead for me. So God will bring you to that place. So you have to trust him to do that, but you gotta seek him. Like, God, what is it you want me to do with my life? Like, Lord, help me. You gotta ask God to help you, because you can't, these deep toxic relationships where you freaking these men, it's soul ties. It's soul ties. Some men will do witchcraft on you. We gotta be so for real. You gotta ask God for his help. You gotta ask the Lord for his help, and Jesus will help you. And he will cause a situation to occur where that is not the situation anymore. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so the next thing that can help you is learning God. Now, learning about the creator of the universe, learn about the one who created you and what he actually wants your life to be like. When you learn God, you actually also learn what a man is supposed to be like and how he's supposed to treat you. The Bible literally tells you that the man that God has for you is going to love you like he loved his own body. Like, when you truly get to learn about God, you get to see what he thinks about love. You get to see what he thinks about your life. You get to see what he thinks about relationships. You get to see the fact that he created you before the foundation of the world. You were well thought out. You were not an accident. You were not a mistake. And your life isn't just some random thing. Like, your life is yours. And he chose you and he loved you and he have a purpose for you. And I know it feel like it ain't no purpose for you because of everything that is going wrong, or, you know, you with this man and you feel like you can't leave and it just feel like this is it. I'm telling you, God want to use you for something. I don't know what it is, girl, but I'm telling you, you know, inside of you, it's like when God chooses you for something, you know deep inside that it is something more. You know, you might have tried it in times past and it maybe didn't, you know, work out the way that you wanted it to, but maybe you wrote some books, maybe you wrote some poems, maybe you made some music, maybe you started making clothes and quit, maybe you started something. But I'm telling you, God has a purpose for you. And when you learn God and learn how much he loves you and learn how he wants you to actually live and what he says life should be like, because you don't have to do all of the things that you've been doing, and you find out that God actually say that he can't give you peace, you do move a little bit differently. Now, how do you get to learn God? Two ways. One, I'm gonna just be real, because you might not read the Bible immediately at first. When you first get saved, you probably gonna listen to people talk about the Bible or listen to sermons. And so here's what I recommend. There's this lady named Stephanie Ike. She makes good biblical content. And then there's a woman named Dr. Michelle Daff. Now, she talks a lot about femininity. She does talk about healing. She talks about God as well. But those are two women I would recommend listening to just to get you like going on your journey with the Lord. The key to this thing is you're going to have to put the correct information in your mind so you can get to where God has for you. But if you don't know, sis, you're not going to do it. So make sure you lock in with them two girls. Also, the Bible. Now, if you don't have a physical Bible, the Bible app, the NLT, they have the TPT, which is the Passion Translation. They have the Amplified Classic, which is pretty much where they just explain stuff deeper than what it already is. They got the easy read version. So just make sure that like you do what you can to learn about God. Seek him, ask him, pray, just simply how I'm talking to you. God, can you show me what to do? You'll be so surprised when you call on him and you call on Jesus and you call on the Lord, like what he will actually do for you. But this is real. This is what I had to go through. This is stuff that God took me through. Like I really want to get up here and tell y'all a different way. And it's just like And it's like, you can't really heal without God, because once you have God and he heals you, he also gives you purpose. He gives you a new life. Like, that's a part of the gospel. Okay, period. Right now, the next thing that you can do to actually stop yourself from, you know, feeling like you have to like really sleep with these men and be in these situations is to learn yourself. A lot of my girls be going. You're working, you in your bag, you doing all the things, but you don't know yourself. You get your hair done, yeah, you get your nails done, you got your lashes on, okay, cool, you're pretty, body's tea, but you don't know yourself. And the reason is because you don't do anything for yourself. You don't have stuff that you genuinely just like to do. You don't sit down and read a book. You don't sit down and journal. You're just on the go. And that's why the first thing you do when you get your hair done, you want to go and drink, or you want to go out and you want to be with a man, when if you don't got to do that. I promise you. Now, we don't hate men, period. I do not hate men. We want a man. We want a good man of God. But you have to get to know you, because when you're still with yourself and you sitting down with yourself and God and you like, I'm really unhappy, you crying, you feel something is off, but you don't know what, because you don't sit down. So sit down, journal, spend time with yourself and just genuinely learning you, seeing what you really want. Maybe you're dressing right now and you wearing clothes you don't want to wear. You're looking like a completely different woman other than you want to be. So really learn what you like. I don't like being treated this way. I actually don't really like eating tacos anymore. I don't actually really like going here. I actually really just want to go to Starbucks in the morning. That's something I always wanted to do, and I just never did it. I always wanted to start running and never did it. It starts with sitting with yourself so you can recognize these little things. The difference between a lot of the girls, so I be hearing I've watched some level up girl talks on YouTube, and what I'm going to tell you is this: the only difference between those girls and you is what you choose to do with your time. Sitting with yourself is important. Seeking God is so important, and when you do those things, you're going to see some evident change in your life. Now, if you're actively in those situations, as you continue to learn yourself, the first thing I'm going to tell you, if it's possible, leave, right? Start cutting it off. If you don't live together, slowly but surely start cutting it off. Slowly but surely dial back the conversation and start pouring into you. The first way you might do that is through the videos, because you're not going to be at the place yet where you're going to start immediately making the changes. First, you need to hear how healthy love sounds. First, you need to hear from a woman how healing sounds. And once you hear those things, you are going to be able to practice them. So, thank you for watching this video. My name is Starla Shay, and this is Girl Start Over. So I'll see you girls on the next video. Bye.